Hi guys!
Welcome back to Ukrainian stand-up comedy channel and our podcast, PeaceTalk. Today, me and Valeria had a chat with two lovely gentlemen, Vasyl ByDuck and Jonathan, who's both involved in theater. And it was a very interesting conversation. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. So, what do you need to do? What do they need to do?
You need to subscribe on our YouTube channel, on our other social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter. We are waiting for you.
Awesome. Give it a like and a comment. Okay, so myself, I'm Anastasiya, the host of this show, my co-host, Valeria Mykhailova.
Hi everyone.
Today we have a very special guest, Vasyl Baidak, a very famous Ukrainian stand-up comedian. Say hi to
Thank you very much. Hello.
And we have another special guest from Great Britain, right? Timothy.
Jonathan.
That's almost as good of a name as Timothy. Jonathan.
Yeah, I met Jonathan.
Apologies.
I met Jonathan yesterday because I'll go on the street and he asked me how to get in some place, and I show him, and we will walk and speak. And he's very interesting guy because you work at theater, yeah. And I ask today maybe it will be great if you will be on podcast. Because theater, comedy.
You know what they told me? They told me you do Muppets. Is that true?
That I'm a Muppet.
No, not you, but
I told the telephone Macbeth.
Oh, Macbeth.
Macbeth.
So,
oh my gosh.
what
yes.
we were talking about is not Macbeth itself, but Elsie and Norm's Macbeth. Now, Elsie and Norm's Macbeth is a play cast of two, so easy to tour. That in the UK in the 1980s we toured up and down the country, in which Elsie and Norm, two ordinary English husband and wife, invite their friends in the audience to do their version of Macbeth. They play all the parts. It's ridiculous. It's funny. They play the witch. It's a joke. Exactly.
Because there's three witches. Like, how do two people play three witches?
She plays the witches on a vacuum cleaner. They practice their exercises. He gets into Stanislavski mode. She says she'd rather go to bed with a pair of handcuffs. And so it all happens. And about 3 years ago, before the pandemic, we updated it because it's now 2021. And one of the things I'm looking for here in Ukraine is for a writer to turn that now into a Ukrainian piece. I don't know what that would be, whether that's the Macbeth of Mihai and Irina. It's two very normal husband and wife in a Ukrainian setting, Ukrainian environment, finding Shakespeare and saying, we're going to have a go at performing Macbeth. And that's one of the things I'm looking for at the moment.
Wow, that's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, and he's looking for some who can adaptate this script.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting job, for example, for me, but my English is not very good for this job.
Yeah, but
So-
you have a lot of experience in theater.
Yeah,
The first time
yeah.
I saw you was on stage in Courage in Kyiv.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2 years ago. You were doing
Improvisation.
improv.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
really great. Like, I stayed for the second show because I loved it so much.
Great.
You did 2 in a row.
Thank you.
So that's the first time I saw you. And then a year later, when I started doing stand-up, we met in Kyiv. We were performing together.
Yeah, when we're performing it, because Jonathan know to McSavage.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know David McSavage?
Not personally.
No, but
Savage Eye, right? The show.
and he was on this podcast.
Yeah?
He was our first guest here. He's my best friend.
No.
And so was he here in Lviv?
So he visited Ukraine. He was here on tour, and so came to Lviv first. I was hosting English open mic here, so he was our headliner. And then he was doing a tour to Frankivsk, Chernivtsi, Vinnytsia, and Kyiv. And I came along with him on the tour, and I was like an MC. And it worked out really well because I'm fluent in Ukrainian and English, so I was able to warm up the audience. And then in the end, if in the smaller towns, if they didn't really understand a lot of the performance, I would come back on stage, throw in some more Ukrainian jokes, and
so lots of questions. First of all, when was this?
So this
2 months ago, maybe.
May. Yeah.
Okay,
It was in May.
so recently. And he felt quite comfortable about coming to Ukraine?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, he's very passionate about it. He has 2 kids who are his ex-wife is Polish. So it felt like very close to him, this threat from Russia.
And how do you come to speak such good English and Ukrainian?
Well, I lived in Canada for half of my life.
Right.
I recently came back to Ukraine just about 2 years ago. Decided to move here permanently. And
when you perform stand-up,
Yeah.
you do that in Ukrainian or in English? In both?
Yeah.
And apart from the language, are the gags the same? Are the jokes the same? Does the humor work the same way?
No, it's very hard to translate the joke. So I usually write different jokes in different languages.
Yeah, that's I do the same.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No translation.
The jokes
too.
won't translate
It's hard
across
to
at all.
translate it because you're holding on to that punchline because it's your fucking baby, and you can't. But to translate it, you have to butcher it and throw some pieces out. Put
So-
it back
But
together.
sometimes
Is it a
doing
completely different joke you do, or is it the same joke but you start again?
A lot of jokes are completely different jokes, but a lot of jokes I have translated. A lot of jokes to do with like a lot of embarrassing things translate well to all the languages. Yeah.
Would you say, I suppose the question is, are the same things that make British audiences laugh the same as things that make Ukrainian audiences laugh?
Usually, yes, but now in the context of war, there are different subjects that I can talk about only on Ukrainian stage, and subjects that people will laugh at in England or
No,
Ireland.
you're all on stage during the war. Tell me, is it easy to make audiences laugh? Are they longing for a bit of comedy? How do they react to it?
Yeah, so when we were on tour and I stayed in Lviv throughout all of the full-scale war, and that was my first time in visiting Kyiv and seeing stand-up there, and humor there is way darker, but people like needed it. They were like absorbing it like a sponge. Like they clearly needed some relief. And actually people were coming up after show and saying, thank you, like we wanted to just get a distraction from all of this that's happening, and like we're happy like to just have some laughs. When in Lviv, it's more like people want to hear more like call back to like the war efforts and stuff. And and I noticed that stand-up comedy in Kyiv is much, much darker than it was in Lviv at that time, because they faced a lot of like war like horrors.
And does that become even more so as you go further east? So,
Well, I haven't gotten further than Kyiv east, but
you have, haven't you? So how do you find it as you go further east?
People in that cities what have a lot of bombing explosions, they are very, they're not darker. Yeah, they smile, a lot of smile. Sure, because we were in Mykhailova with stand-up, and there was a lot of explosions in the night, and we went to Mykhailova. We think that it was terrible. It will be scary for us, and we so afraid that there are no people, no one go to our show. But when we go in Mykhailova, there are a lot of smiling people, and we ask them why? Because you have a lot of explosion at that night. But it's in the night. Now it's sunshine. All is okay, and they smile a lot, and they laughing, and stand-up show. They don't need to tell them about explosions, about this dark times. They want to listen some motivation stand-up, some sunshine stand-up, some light jokes. Of course, jokes about that Russians are fucking bad guys, what must to be punished. destroyed country. But
But for us now it's like a sunshine stand-up.
yes.
You know, Valeria, she's from Kharkiv and she moved here
I know.
recently. So her experience is very different.
And we met in Kharkiv. I know Vasya for many years.
So Valeria,
Artyom Kobzon.
tell me about your experience of stand-up in Kharkiv. What's that like? Are audiences different in Kharkiv anyway?
No, I wouldn't say it's different, but I haven't performed after the full-scale invasion.
Okay.
So I performed there in normal life. And I would say that the audience is pretty much the same. There is not a lot of difference. The only thing that here in Lviv people are more religious, and you should be.
But I don't know.
But not every time.
Yeah.
You know,
I did a lot of jokes about Jesus. So
But not every time.
I always say that Valeria is Ukrainian Ali Wong because she was doing stand-up pregnant. Like, on the stage.
I performed on the 8 months.
Yeah.
You're relatively young people. I'm assuming that your audiences are young audiences.
no,
No,
Not
not
every
necessarily.
different audience.
Okay.
And now it's different. It's very different. Younger, older. It's
I was curious about your experience with the full-scale war beginning. You were back in your parents' house or in Kyiv? I know
now?
your story. Well, when the full-scale war started.
Before the day before, I go to Vinnytsia. It's my native town, and but I think that it will be for one day. For it was in 23rd of February. Yeah, I think that I go to parents and I give them some souvenirs, and I come back to Kyiv. But in 24th, so I understand that. okay, 2 months. 2 months.
And when you're in Vinnytsia, and I should say again, we've only met last night outside the statue of the horse.
Not night, evening.
Yes, yesterday evening, before 11. Vasyl and I met as he helped me out from being completely lost.
Yeah.
Vinnytsia, hometown, home audience, do they know you there more?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is there a sense of talking when you're doing stand-up there, of talking to your home audience, talking to the local audience?
Yeah. But every audience, they have the same. Every audience is different in every city because it's not because they are different people, because they have some different subjects, different meetings, different buildings, different transport, different climate, so different air alarm. I don't know, air alarm. Yeah, but. When I was in Vinnytsia, for example, sure, you can tell them, for example, some jokes about the dead Dr. Pirogov, what lying in Vinnytsia, but not in the ground or in a big, I don't know, in a big glass or.
He's like Lenin.
Yeah, he's like Lenin, but better. And when I tell him about Pirogov in Kyiv, they it's funny. But when I talk about Pirogov in Vinnytsia, they fucking bad Pirogov. We hate them. Sure, different terms.
And what about language? I mean, my impression, and it's only somebody from the UK, is simply the further you go east, the more Russian is spoken and the less Ukrainian is spoken. People will speak both. Do you move your performances at all? Do you speak in Russian at all during and never have?
No.
It's
just
always
in Ukrainian.
Just in Ukrainian.
Yeah, sure.
Again, would the jokes, if you were speaking Russian, would the jokes be different as the language is different?
Sure, every language is different, of course, but I don't
think any public person that does public speaking should be speaking Russian in Ukraine right now.
No. But if you go back 3 years, for instance,
of course,
were you then performing in Russian at all at that point?
I spoke Russian before 24 February.
Yes.
Because
and so do I.
Yeah,
right.
But now it's Ukrainian.
No, it's Ukrainian, of course.
Yeah, and it's I love it. So, but we have some some few comedians who speak Russian and do performing for Russian now, and it's not a problem.
You don't think so?
You
don't think it's a problem?
For them.
Yeah.
They do it, and it's not a problem for them. Because I was in Zaporizhia, and Zaporizhia, no, not in Zaporizhia, no, in Kremenchuk, and I asked some guys to do як це розігрів буде?
Warm up the audience.
Warm up the audience before my performance today, and they do a stand-up, and it was in Russian. I don't know that it will be like this, and they laughing, joking. I don't know.
But the audience was fine with that.
Yeah,
right?
and then was my performing in Ukrainian, and the audience fine. So.
In the UK, so much of the tradition of modern stand-up is about doing the unacceptable. Is that also true here?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and therefore, presumably, some people speaking in Russian is part of that doing of the unacceptable.
Before the full-scale war, we had some comedians play with that idea, how they would speak Russian just to kind of spite some people in the audience to in Lviv, because you could do that in Lviv. Like, people are very patriotic here, and they would get a little pissed off at the Russian performances. But now, when the full-scale war started, no one's performing in Russian in Lviv.
And in Kyiv the same.
It would not be received well.
But here is a funny thing that now if you want to show some stupid person, you just
switch to Russian.
But
you
it's
just speak in Russian and
But it's great because
I
I remember that when I was in KVN and it's years ago. If there are some Russian, for example, Russian team for speak Russian, and if you want to show some guy from a village, they do Ukrainian language. It was and I think that it's Kevin he did a big job for that Russian language is in Ukraine. I think that it's
definitely.
Maslякov is Irso.
Because they monopolized the humor.
Yeah, and it's very great that now Kevin is dead.
So I wanted to come back to the question about your experience with the full-scale war. So I remember for me, I thought that my stand-up career is over. Like the war started. Like, what stand-up? What the fuck? That's not happening. But then maybe like 2-3 weeks, I actually left town because I got scared. Like, I didn't see any explosions, but even the air alarms scared me enough to go like west to my aunt's place. So I stayed there for a few weeks, but then I decided to move back to Lviv, and that's when Kulturna Obrona started doing their first live streams. And it was such a strange feeling walking into the comedy hall again and seeing everything sort of normal. Like, the audience was there, some of the comedians. When I thought I would never see them again, I got really scared in the beginning of the war, and then doing the first stream. Like, they were not sure how it's gonna take off. They were really scared. They're like, people are gonna hate. Like, is this appropriate what we were doing? And then it took off. Like, they were doing so well. They fundraised so much money for the Ukrainian army, and I was like really proud to be like part of this organization that does it. Anyways, so. Turns out stand-up and humor is a huge, very important thing for like keeping people's spirits up. So how did you? What was your experience?
The same. I thought that all right. I finished my stand-up comedy. My stand-up. All right. IT. And but then my friends told me that maybe you want to do the stand-up for our army in Vinnytsia. And all right, sure, I can do this, but I was so scared because it's military, and what joke I must do for they laughing. And I write new material, stand-up material, and it was the first time my performing in Ukrainian. It was my first time. What a fucking
huge responsibility! First stand-up in front of military.
For the military, and after I don't know, maybe 3 months I didn't do stand-up. Yeah, that was first time in. So and I did it. It was great. It was great because my first joke, I want to show our soldiers that I'm do it for them, not because I look at my stand-up comedy, what I can, what I do. No, I please listen me. I want you laughing and you will be
nice
great.
approach.
Yeah, and my first joke that was my my first performing when if you hear the bad joke you can give me to the face with gun. Yeah, and they laughing, and I okay, all right. I hear the laughing, they laugh, and
that must have been so nice. That first laugh.
Yes.
The first, like,
yes. And then they kick me with it. And then one performing for soldiers, second, third, and one stand-up club, Kulak Дракона. Kulak, jak bude?
Fist of the Dragon.
Fist of the Dragon, yeah. Stand-up club in Vinica. They told me, maybe you want to do a performing for audience. And I say, no, why? Who will listen us? And but they did this performing. I do a stand-up, and it was charity. Of course, every, I don't know, maybe 3 months, 4 months performing stand-up, just only charity, 100% to the military, to the volunteering. Yeah, and it was my first stand-up for audience, people laughing, I do the jokes, and from that point I did some. And underground stand-up do такі новини. This same...
It's like a stream, right?
Yeah, stream
podcast.
Show
they they also have podcasts. David McSavage was there as a guest too, so they do some English podcasts as well on underground stand-up.
And you, how about you?
I wanted to ask you one question about your big concert in October Palace. It was a second time, when you gathered October Palace.
Yeah.
It was once before the war and once after the war, and I think that's incredible thing because he has fundraised $500,000.
Holy shit!
For our army.
Yeah. No,
he's an incredible man, and
it was great. We did it with underground.
Even I wrote him that I'm proud that I know him.
Thank you very much. It was with underground stand-up we did it together. So that's me, Lisa, my wife, and underground stand-up. 3 persons who take this money and to give in the military. And we buy just maybe in few days we will buy a very hard drone. I don't know.
Oh, so are you fundraising currently for something?
For drone. Drone. Yeah, it's very. It's 17,000 euros. It's very strong. He can do some different good things, and it will be in the south. So it's amazing.
So are you fundraising money constantly now? Like always fundraising for something, or like helping someone out? I just want to know. Хоч ти постійно збираєш зараз гроші на щось. I just want to let our audience know that like they can subscribe to your social media, follow your stories, and
I have owned, for example, some military ask us to find some car or to find some buggy, for example, and we did some this one. And як збір буде? Fundraising, and we do fundraising. But sometimes some persons write me, so we have fundraising, please support us and ask your audience to give it donated. But I must check. I check, ask some documents, or I check, or that's my friends what I say. All right, and
you have to check.
But what about not fundraising? I mean, stand-up is also your trade, and artists are great. Comedians, actors, performing artists of all sorts at fundraising for all sorts of causes. But you have also got to eat.
Yeah, sure, of course.
How do you survive?
When we have a tour in Ukraine, so we have some cities what was 100% charity. For example, Mykhailov, Охтирка, Novovolynsk, Bucha.
And he was volunteering in Bucha, and then then you've made a stand-up there.
No. In Bucha, no. In Hostomel and Borodyanka and Yagidne. It's in Chernihiv. In Chernihiv we have charity tour. That we have free tickets. Come to us because I thought that in these cities people need laughing. People need to laugh, need to smile, but they have no money because, for example, Chernihiv was in bad because it's one bridge was destroyed, and this city not in occupation, but every time it was some explosions there, and humanitarian can't go because their bridge was destroyed, and so that
I asked
people
about it because you didn't just doing performing there, but you was like a volunteer there, and you helped all that people, and after that you have a performing.
It's in Yagidne, in Chernihiv.
Oh, okay. I saw your story. It was so amazing because you were doing like a cleanup of the town.
Yeah, that's for you, because you don't know this. We have some different cities, villages in Russian occupation. Russian occupation, it's very. All right.
It's
for
the most
example,
scary thing that
yeah,
can
it's very
happen.
scary thing because they not animals. Animals are better,
worse,
and they destroy, for example, buildings. They kill people, and some people of some old torture, some old man, old woman, for example, they live in their house. Russian soldiers came there and live there and destroy everything, and then they go because our army kick them and they go away for example, from Chernihiv, from Kyiv, and a lot of different buildings are crushed, are destroyed, and we have a big volunteering in different places. Our people just volunteering. Is
it part of an organization, or
organization?
Is it just self-organized?
For example, I have a friend, Vadim Agati, and he has tour, I don't know, Ukrainian tour and tour in different countries. It's like traveling. And we told him that, so you can do this volunteering because you have a lot of audience. You have this organization for buses, for you can take some money donation because you have this. And he now do with his wife this volunteering for in Kyiv, in Kyiv region. Just that audience what went to Bali now go to Kyiv region to clean up some buildings and to build something. Oh, nice. And it's a lot of and in one time in Yagidne, it's near Chernihiv. Yeah, we did with organization Repay Together. This Kyiv organization. They did some different things for clean some buildings, to clean up and to help people in these villages. And after this cleaning, I did it performing for that people what was in occupation, and that stand-up was maybe the greatest stand-up in my life, because I hear the laughing of people what few weeks ago was in very bad situation. Saw the dying of their people, of destroying buildings, and when they laugh, it was goodest for me because you hear this. So and it was
therapeutic,
great.
You'll release emotions.
Yeah, and what I eat. And in different cities is what, for example, Lviv, Kyiv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Chernihiv, or Chernivtsi, that stand-up was just a part of this money going to volunteering, and a different place for me for it.
So you are still able to earn, in that sense, to earn money for yourself?
Yeah, because it's my work.
Yes,
sure. It's our work. We work like
absolutely.
this.
It's good that you didn't have to go to IT.
Yeah.
But I still need to teach.
She's a teacher in Kharkiv school.
Oh, online now, yeah?
Yeah.
She had to go
online because the rocket from Belgorod go in less than a minute. And
yeah.
to need to go down into the shelter, it's takes
And the school's
4 or 5
destroyed.
minutes, and the rockets can fly less than a minute.
So, but I hope with our
Everything is online.
maybe.
Fucking Russians.
What do you teach?
I'm studying biology and chemistry.
And do you get to teach your students stand-up?
Oh no, I've never used stand-up on my.
Have they ever seen you
lessons.
do stand-up?
I hope that no.
Well,
and their parents too.
Particularly the
And my director
Principal.
also.
Yeah.
if you teach biology and you're doing stand-up pregnant, there's huge opportunities there.
Yeah, there's an idea for you. Maybe consider getting pregnant again.
Tell me, all three of you,
No.
you go out in front of an audience. Do you every time still have that wondering, are they going to laugh? Do you have that moment of relief when they laugh at the first joke?
Of course,
Oh,
every
yeah.
time.
That's
every
narcotic.
single time. Yeah.
That's drugs.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting so nervous before coming on stage, and it's like a lot of adrenaline, and I'm just getting on stage and what will we be
And even
now?
if you do
and
badly,
when
you still come back.
but when I starting to joke, I just feel like
Yeah.
great.
And the feeling on stage, that's amazing.
And
Because
can you remember the occasions when audiences have not laughed, when it's died in that sense?
but it's great because that's
I blame
emotions.
it on the audience.
Huh?
I blame it on the audience. Like, you assholes. I know that was a good joke. You better get on the same page as me.
You just don't understand this joke.
Yeah.
I understand this joke. You know.
You guys, well, that's what I was telling the audience yesterday. I was like, you're boring. I'm not. That's why I'm here. You're there. Trust me. What I say is funny. How would you know?
That's when I performed in English. That's the same because my English is not very good. I know some few words, but I don't know how to calculate it.
Oh, I
So-
enjoyed your performance because it was like so.
Yeah, because I say that I understand what I mean. Is that you not understand what I mean? That's
your problem.
Yeah, that's your problem. That's my problem. I understand what I know.
Have you ever done stand-up in both languages, in English and Ukrainian?
Sorry,
Have you ever tried doing stand-up in both languages, in English and Ukrainian?
both languages.
In English, have you done
yeah.
that?
In
Yeah.
English, we have warmed up before McSavage in Kyiv and in Vinnytsia.
and then in Kyiv,
And we have some different stand-up evenings in English. So I
Do you
try.
participate in
instance-
those?
Yeah.
In the underground stand-up?
Yeah.
You're going to Dublin. You're going
Yeah,
the next few days to
yeah,
Dublin.
I'll go to Dublin.
It'll be a Ukrainian audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll love to hear Ukrainian.
Yeah.
But many of them now will be speaking English very, very well.
Sure.
So there is the opportunity for you to mix languages.
Oh,
to do a performance of English and Ukrainian together.
Maybe it's a big place of improvisation when you understand that there are some foraging in audience because it's I don't know. It's for me. It's a big present when I speak Ukrainian and do stand up Ukrainian. But that I understand that there is a foreign man who don't understand Ukrainian but understand English. Oh, it's a big place for joking because you tell some stand up in Ukrainian, but then you look at him and give some jokes in English, and he laugh just he laughing. It's just joke about for him or for her. So yeah, maybe mix. I don't know. It's
Because
how it
the
will
Dublin audience is gonna know both. Probably,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. But maybe there are a lot of people who going there just now, just after 24th of February. I don't know. Maybe they don't know English. Maybe it can be.
But there's a lot of Ukrainians in
Yeah?
Dublin and a lot of support. I just came
You
back
was in-
from Dublin.
Yeah, you was
this
in
week.
Dublin?
I
Wow.
just came back Wednesday.
Great. You do a stand up there?
Yeah, I was performing. I was doing like warm up for David McSavage at the Olympia Theater.
Olympia
not
Theater,
only in Dublin.
So
Wow.
1,250 people.
like in October Place.
Yeah?
Palace. Yeah.
But in Dublin.
But in Dublin.
It was lovely. You know, I didn't notice
Wow.
the difference. It felt the same as performing in any bar, you know? Like, it was as worrisome before the stand-up and then as great.
How the
performance.
audience? It's great. in
They're
Dublin?
great, yeah. David McSavage gathered like
Olympic
best
Theatre,
people.
great. Now Jimmy Carr performing in this theater.
Well, when I was in London
Great.
a week ago, I was performing in Top Secret Comedy Club, which is the
I know.
famous one.
Yeah.
I
And
was
it's
there
not
4 days in a row. They were giving me like a lot of stage time. I'm on the website. I'm on the website of the comedians and in the list somewhere between Aziz Ansari and Trevor Noah.
Wow.
That's my face.
You should subscribe on our social media because we are showing that tour, and
feel like
in
I'm
a
more
few
famous
days
in
we will
England
have a video of
in
it.
Ukraine.
So
yeah, I'm gonna release a video.
So
of
subscribe
my
for
stand-up.
Do
we
not
get to see you
miss it.
performing. So we can get to see you performing.
Yeah, it's going to be on our YouTube channel, on my pages in social media.
That's
Anastasiya Vasyl.
So Ukrainian stand-up comedy, subscribe. We have Twitter, we have YouTube channel, we have TikTok, we have Instagram.
And most importantly, YouTube, where you can watch these beautiful podcasts.
So, Jonathan, maybe you can tell us something about theatre in UK.
Or about
what you
your
feel,
experience.
Yeah, what you feel when people in Ukraine look at your performing, hear your performing. Maybe what you can tell about us, about...
I was first working in Ukraine, in Kyiv, in 2015. We were looking at Shakespeare, and we were looking at the war as it was happening then through Shakespeare and what Shakespeare says about war. And we were working in both languages, in Ukrainian and Russian, neither of which I speak a word. And working with that, and we were doing a Shakespeare play, which was accompanied by monologues all the way through, taken from verbatim interviews with people in the east of Ukraine, talking about their experiences of the war as it was happening. Well, the comedy's no different to stand-up. You know, somebody comes on to do their comedy moment and you hope to God somebody will laugh. And it's all that same explosion of joy when they do, and that feeling of awfulness when they don't. British theatre, I was very struck by one or two of the actors who had watched the UK's National Theatre live, those streamed performances coming in.
I watched one too. It was what's his name? David Tennant as King Lear.
As King Lear.
That was beautiful. Yeah, I thought.
My disgrace is that I took a group of students, and I was a university lecturer in another life, to see David Tennant playing Hamlet many years ago and fell asleep within about 10 minutes. Not because he wasn't brilliant, but just because actually I tend to fall asleep within the first 10 minutes of almost anything. So what they said about watching the National Theatre act is the extraordinary naturalness of it, that they just act the way they speak, that it's very relaxed in that way, that they don't feel the need to move enormously, that they're very relaxed with their hands, and trying to work with the Ukrainian actors who were enormously talented. They were a terrific group of actors. And I was in a very fortunate situation because there aren't many companies left in the UK where there is a company of actors who work together all the time, and this was one. And so we were looking at that to some extent.
Which company was that?
This was the Podoli company in Kyiv. And one of the reasons I'm back here at the moment, what we're just setting up at the moment, is doing some audio work, radio drama, audio drama with the same company. Inevitably, they are scattered. A number of the actors are still in Kyiv, but the women, the actresses, are in Berlin, Warsaw, etc. And nowadays, modern technology, the ability to work with them as a company again, to get them all on.
That's very interesting because like audio dramas played a big part in World War II. I think people were like really tuning into the radios.
Tremendously so. And we were just talking this morning at breakfast about the fact that, of course, that anarchic comedy starts there. You know, the tradition of Monty Python starts with the goons all the way through the war. And how important that was, in a sense. And I talked to my father, who was 88, and so who was 6 when World War II began, and has all those memories of listening to those things, and also some of the sorts of things you're talking about now. Going into bomb shelters when the bullet started, the sirens went off, and how, just like you talk about now with comedy, initially very, very strongly everybody doing that. And you can't sustain that. Very quickly, they stopped going into their bomb shelters because the dog escaped, because it became impossible, because life carries on. That's what he speaks about, is that very quickly normality reasserts itself, and that is an enormous two fingers to war. Really, that is an enormous way. Of responding to something like a Russian invasion, which is to say, we carry on. And whether that's stand-up comedy or theatre, and those actors at Podoli are back in rehearsals again, that is tremendously important. We run a radio drama festival in the UK, and as one of the events, we did a piece, Time Traveller's Guide to the Donbass. 2 actors, one of whom was Napodoli
Where can I
Kyiv.
find that?
I'll get that to you.
I'm very curious
absolutely.
because I love Traveler's Guide to the Galaxy.
And the other, part of the same company, she was in Berlin. And we were able, all of us, to sit there together and go through it and do it together. And they were able to perform almost as they were in the same room. And of course, for me, happy, glib me in England in safety, sitting there smiling, the actor said, "You have no idea how much of a joy that is. Just to be able to do the work I normally do, working with people for whom this is normal, and look happy, and being happy, having a laugh is so important."
Yeah, the first day I was in London, I got to spend most of the day by myself. So I went for a little walk, and it was just so strange to be in a peaceful environment and seeing all the happy people just walk around.
Oh, I was scared this.
My last day in Ukraine was Independence Day, 24th, when we had the most air alarms throughout the whole full-scale war. So in Lviv, throughout the day, we had 7 air alarms. Then I go to Warsaw, fly out to London, London, and have some time to myself, and it's quiet and peaceful.
Yeah,
and it was
and you can go in the night
contrast.
somewhere.
Yeah, and I had to because I was giving late night show time, so that was around midnight.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr has it at 10 o'clock in the evening.
Those are the best shows. But it was so much pressure. I had to perform after a guy who won Britain Got Talent.
We stand up,
Koji.
or
yeah.
Wow.
So I was after him on stage. It's so much
How it was?
pressure. He was great, of course.
How you was?
How was you?
Fucking amazing.
He was great, but that was fucking amazing.
They give this
warm-up act, really.
He was my warm-up.
Now I am a talent of Great Britain. I'm the best one.
Very talented.
They took this and give me. So, all right, Monty Python. You love them, yeah?
Monty Python, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was a child when Monty Python was around. I remember watching them for the first time coming out on the television, thinking it terribly funny. They had a lovely... I was a 12-year-old boy, they had this moment at which they said, "And now the naughty bits." And you got to see bosoms and things, and it was, terribly exciting and fun, and all the rest of it.
And you saw that for in live? No, in live. I don't know.
Live?
On a stage. On a stage.
stage.
Not
I have never seen them on stage.
Yeah.
I never saw them. There was a tape that we used to have, cassette. Remember those days? Of Monty Python. This is an interesting story, really. I believe... Well, it's not a very interesting story. I always believed it was Monty Python live at Drury Lane, that it was this idea that they were sort of in permanent residence at Drury Lane, and that was the point that was being made. And it was years later that I realised that actually, the whole point about this is that it was a recorded live tape, that this was Monty Python live at Drury Lane. And the significance of that, and the significance of hearing live performance is very, very important, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we love stand-up. It's not the same to What do you think? I mean,
Sure.
that's why we love stand-up. That's why we do it. 'Cause we love to be in front of live audience.
Because
Of course.
being in front of
Yeah.
a live audience is different. We were just talking about audio. I work in audio and I work in radio, and we have recorded in front of live audiences as well. And whether it's comedy or whether it's serious, you can hear the difference. You can hear the actors talk to the audience, and the audience speak back in some sense. Whether they're heckling you, laughing, or just silent, you can hear them talk back. And you can hear that the dialogue isn't between actor and actor, it's between actor and audience, and how important that is.
For me, this was so hard to play at serious theater because I have performing at not comedy. It was
It's really raining outside.
yeah. It's raining, man. And it was drama in theater, and it was so hard to play it. I played good. I play amazing. I play normal, but it was very hard for me because I didn't hear some reaction of audience. Because if you work in comedy, you just make a joke, hear a laughing, or hear laughing, or produce, or something else. But when you play some dramatic role, it's you tell something what you want to hear reaction, but they just sit because it's silence, because it was very hard to look, it's very sad, and they just sitting. But why you? Please do something, do some reaction, please. Maybe you can say me, or something, because I don't know. It's what I do good, I do not good. Because when you do stand up, you know that you're good when people laughing. When people not laugh, you know that this joke was not very good. So I take this experience and. In drama, it's look like the same, but it's not the same, because if you do some dramatic role, it's not reaction. But I want to hear reaction, and I'm playing was not very good because I didn't hear reaction.
What kind of play was this?
It's but
And what were you playing?
but it was Natalia. Natalia Vorobushek. It's new drama. New drama. You know, you have new drama. Nova drama.
I don't know what that means.
It was some part some in theater, some time in theater, a new drama when it's not classic. It's new drama. It's when all is bad, and they don't show audience what you must to do with problems. They just show audience problems, and it's very hard time, because this screen's very hard, because I like when you show they show some problems what we know. For example, alcoholic.
So more current problems. Within, an older play.
Yeah,
so
but they don't show us what all will be good. No, they if father, for example, drank alcohol in this family, he will die, and it's that's what did new drama. So audience look at this and okay, we go in the same situation to our families. So it's not very. I don't know. Maybe now new drama. No new drama here. I don't know.
So when were you in theater in this play?
It's 6 years ago, maybe.
Since then, have you done any theatrical plays?
We have own theater, Vorobushek. So it's absurd comedy when you hear reaction when all is all right. When you don't do dramatic roles and it's all is good. You do joke, you hear laugh. Great.
And that's the best thing, because with laugh, with clapping, you have a lot of energy.
Sure. Yeah. That's what we eat.
And that's the greatest thing in doing comedy, I think.
Yes. In theatre, the actors can usually hear when the audience is silent because they're listening, or they're silent because they've fallen asleep. And of course, there's a tremendous amount of comedy. There's a tremendous amount of laughs coming back to
Every time I saw that it was sleep.
So Jonathan, what is your experience? Did I get your name right this time? Okay. Sorry. What is your experience in theater? Like, how did you start off?
How did I start in theatre? Oh, I started in theatre you're going back an embarrassingly long way now. But, nowadays there are directors' courses and producers' courses and those sorts of things. But there weren't really those when I was in theatre. So I did my statutory number of directed plays at university. And then as I came out of university, started to work in a couple of different companies, one of which was a national touring company in London. So I was based in London, and we were taking what they called small-scale studio theatre to mid-scale up and down the country, and I got to know, we had one tour which lasted, you couldn't do it nowadays, but you could in those days, 6 months of touring, single nights, 2 nights, split weeks through 3 nights, every small theatre, that's 80 seats to 250, 350 seats in the country. And I spent a lot of time with the cast out on tour as the assistant director, as the assistant stage manager, as the general gopher. And I got to know every theatre there was in the country in that way, of that size. And that was a comedy we were doing. It was a wonderful, silly comedy called Murder at Wuthering Heights. And it was a spoof in which 3 actors played 15 different characters.
Amazing.
All murdered by the tape recorder, because gradually they all die. And there's an ongoing narration by and when I say tape recorder, we're talking here an old Ferguson reel-to-reel. In those days we still run theatre by reel-to-reel tapes, and so that was provide a running commentary, and eventually confessed that he, the tape recorder, had committed
Spoilers.
all the murders. Funnily enough, those Revox reel-to-reel tape recorders, all forgotten about now, until I was doing a project relatively recently in the last couple of years in Egypt, where we were looking at an extraordinary period of radio drama there, and a particular writer of radio drama whose family had collected a lot of his work, otherwise forgotten about, and they had simply put a microphone in front of the radio when it came out and recorded it on an old reel-to-reel tape recorder. And to digitize it, which is part of what we were doing, we had to take one of these from the UK across to Egypt to make a digital recording. And trying to explain when we got to customs and when we got to security at the airport what this was to young people who were all under the age of 30 and had never seen a reel-to-reel tape recorder before was quite fun.
So you were bringing the whole recorder?
We took the whole recorder, yes.
Yeah.
And how many years are you in theatre?
Have I been in theatre?
Yeah.
I started in 1985, 86. But it's, theatre with a very, in a very broad way. In the performing arts, I've worked in theatre, I've worked in audio, I've worked in radio, I've worked a great deal with students doing their projects and things. So if you look at the number of actual plays I've done, there are plenty of directors who have directed in 10 years more than I have necessarily directed, during my life.
But you enjoy teaching?
I love it. I love working with students on their projects, yes.
So are you currently teaching somewhere?
Yes, but in a very different way at the moment. We have, again, an audio project working with young people across Europe. That's Hungary and Albania and France and ourselves in Ireland, where young people aged 12 through to 25 are learning to make very short radio dramas, audio dramas. Each country has commissioned some of the best writers they can find to write very short, absolute gems of pieces, dramas, which young people will not necessarily act in, but work with actors and learn all those techniques and tools and all the fun of making audio drama.
Well, it sounds like you're enjoying this project. It sounds like you're very passionate
Love
about
it.
That's cool.
The interesting thing that Vasyl is closer to the theater than it seems, because you have your own theater of absurd, Vorobushek, and in stand-up you are using some characters.
Sometimes,
I remember your first of your performances, and it was in priest costume.
Yes, it was 9 years ago.
It was 9 years ago, but it was such a great thing for me because
For me too.
it was so interesting, and you have my favorite character and maybe a favorite character of more of your subscribers. It's Boboduk.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Boboduk
like
have
genius. I love that.
Thank you very
have
much.
some fundraising too. Yeah.
No.
No. But there was some videos about the war.
Yeah. There are
Mine.
three or four videos, but it's just like a lesson. What children must do on the occupied territories, whereas a lot of guns and bombs and mines.
Landmines.
Yeah. What they must go just only on the road, don't go to the forest, don't take some different toys. And I had one bubuduk about the situation. In Ukraine, this was in maybe I don't remember, maybe in the start of March. I did this video, one video about helping animals, because a lot of people would go from occupation from danger territories. They take these cats, dogs in the flats, and they close the doors. They don't, and a lot of animals died in this. So that was a lesson what you must do with your animals, and maybe that's three videos. Yeah.
So it's a very interesting format because he does this character that speaks a strange language, made up language, right?
Yeah. It's
Checking. I don't know. Maybe you have like a whole dictionary you made up and it's like a proper
Yes, I
language.
have.
Babaduk
Yes, I have.
language,
Just
yeah?
a book of
Book of
dictionary.
Boboduk.
But then he does subtitles under like describing what Boboduk.
Boboduk? I don't know.
Boboduk is doing.
And is that a tradition in Ukraine, speaking nonsense language?
No, it's not a tradition.
I think so.
I ask because, of course, it is in other countries, in Italy and things,
Yeah.
and the great writer and performer Dario Fo used to perform in nonsense language all the way through his, he'd do a sort of stand-up routine. I forget what it was called, that particular language that he used that was made up words.
It reminds me of Dadaism, the period Dada. They would do a lot of performances. They would speak random sounds.
Yeah, yes.
We have such a guy too, Vadim Dziunko.
Oh, we have.
He's talking.
Yeah, we host English open mics in Cult Comedy Hall, and so I MC those events. And we have one. It's mostly local Lviv comedians whose English is not perfect. It's second language, of course. And then we have Vadim Dziunko, my boyfriend, by the way. And so he decided to perform in like a made-up language. It's something like something that sounds like English.
But it's
He was
only
not my
sounds.
boyfriend. I'm kidding. I'm single, you guys. Don't worry. Anyways, so he did this whole thing in like a made-up language, and then in the end he sang a song.
Yeah.
And it was so.
But
funny,
there
ridiculous.
were some words in English like love.
He loves word waterfall.
So
He says like waterfall. So
Like younger brother of Oasis.
But that was not even не існують.
they don't exist. What?
Don't exist words and some words that are really English words.
Yeah.
But they
But it was
have
a fun
no
performance.
sense.
I want to go to toilet.
Yeah, do we take a break? Можна паузу зробити?
No, you can just.
And we can just talk to your
Okay, we'll
hat.
talk to the hat.
It's me.
So is he your boyfriend?
Vadim? I mean, I'll leave it a mystery. What happens between me and Vadim?
Is the whole of
Please,
this
stage.
podcast fundamentally leading up to a plug for your boyfriend?
No.
She's making this podcast
leading
to
up for
say
me
that
to-
she's still single and men.
Okay, I'm not leading up to that.
It's a question for
Can't
you.
you see the
Why?
best? Women too, hello.
Why? by the way, I'm single too, so man, what are you looking at? Why? I have just one question. Why are we still single?
Oh, I know why. Because men are fucking crazy. That's why.
Maybe.
Tell us about the baby.
About
Boy, girl, what's she called?
I have a girl. She's 5. And I have
so
a
this
couple of
performing
jokes
pregnant
about
was
her.
a long while ago.
And I was performing
5 years ago.
maybe
In Kharkiv.
6
then,
years.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 5 years ago, because I was performing in Kharkiv and I was on Standup Festival in Kyiv, and I was on 8 months. Went to Kyiv into Standup Festival, and people just saying that I'm crazy a little. But that was amazing, because when people see all the things that believe any word you are saying, and they were laughing a lot, and it was great.
Because you're pregnant, they believe everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Mother-to-be must be telling the truth.
And there was a lot of jokes that I can't use now.
It's too bad.
And
That's not too bad, but that was an interesting experience.
which way did you go with this? Did you make the pregnancy part of your performance, or did you say, I'm going to ignore the fact I'm pregnant altogether?
No,
And
every my joke was about the pregnancy.
was about the pregnancy.
Everything was about it.
Everything.
Everything.
Whole stand-up.
Everything. Whole my stand-up was about my pregnancy.
Did you have fun with that?
That's it.
Was it really fun to joke about it? Because you're in this situation, you're pregnant.
Oh,
you go
that,
on stage,
that,
you
that was
expose
a
yourself,
funny
but then you
joke,
make
because
fun of
I've started doing jokes about pregnancy when I was on 6 months and there was no stomach. And I'm walking on stage and saying I'm on 6 months of pregnancy, and people just how. And I maybe I will be the first woman for whom a child will give birth.
give birth. Who'll give
Someone else will give birth
Leleka.
for. A stork will bring the baby.
The circle will bring me a baby.
And were you aware whilst you were doing this, all the work that goes with that, rehearsing, getting it ready, that, all comedy is dated to some extent. It all has a shelf life. But this, particularly, after 4 months, you're not going to be pregnant anymore. You're 6 months pregnant. And, all those jokes will be lost. Were you aware of that at the time?
No, I'm not worried, because I have a lot of new jokes, so...
And having discovered that at 6 months you can go on stage and announce that you're pregnant and do jokes and nobody can see your tummy anyway, are you not tempted to go back and do it anyway and tell people you're pregnant again?
No. It's not good to lie on people, because people just feel it.
Some people call it acting.
Some people can call it acting, but I can't lie in normal life, and I can't lie on stage.
Oh, so you never
everything-
lie to your boyfriend that you're pregnant and you're not?
Huh? Tell us.
Don't do that. It's stupid. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I just went to my husband with a stomach and said, I'm not pregnant.
I don't know
No,
what this
not
is.
at all. It's just a lot of pizza in me.
I'm so hungry now.
No, because people are feeling when you are lying to them, and they don't laugh. Because all my jokes are true. When I'm telling about some situation or something that happened with me, it's always true. That's why people are laughing on it, and that's why they believe you.
Yeah, you need to earn people's trust, and they start believing you, everything you say on stage. So it's important to be honest, but to a certain level, of course. And Vasyl, how do you find stand-up? Do you...
You're lying to people.
Every time
Do you prefer to
I
tell
lie
truth,
every
or
time.
you lie?
No truth in my stand-up. No, just lying.
Yeah, even the tomato story.
Yeah.
All made up.
Everything.
Oh my god.
No, tomatoes is true.
Okay.
That's true. But
Tell us the tomato story.
I don't remember.
It's a big story. It's a story about that that my mother has a problems with her leg because it's ill. Jak це стопа буде?
Foot.
Yeah.
The sole of the foot.
Кісточка, росте кісточка на стопі.
There's a bone on her foot, on her sole of her foot.
Yeah, it's a little bone on her foot, and it's ill, and I took my mother, and we went to the doctor. A doctor looked at this food a very long time. He looking at this food and this place and this place and this. And then he asked, do you eat tomatoes? And she said yes. And he said, you must not. And that was all what he said. All what he said. We asked, maybe we have some pills. No. Just don't eat tomatoes. So?
Just 6 years in university to saying people do
Yeah.
not eat tomatoes.
Yeah. Did it help?
No, now she eat tomatoes a lot.
Oh, just to spite the doctor.
I will eat tomatoes. You are fucking doctor.
You said that everything is lying, but now you have an interesting thing in your social media. That was a story when someone trades a paper clip into house, and an American woman that was trying to.
Well, she achieved. It was a woman, so
to
she
change.
exchanged the paper.
Yeah, that was.
There was two stories. One about man that was changing
He was first.
paper clip. He was first, and now there is a story about American girl that trying to exchange her hair.
It's things to fix hair. How it's
hair
grips.
clip. A hair
Hair
clip.
clip.
Hair
Yes.
clip.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she already got an Xbox, iPhone, and a car. And you now trying to do some.
So
It's
Vasyl was
finished.
attempting it. His plan, like I saw the story. His plan was to do the whole thing of trade, but he failed. He failed to do that because he got a trade, like what were you trading?
All right. A full story. I have one guy wrote me in Instagram. I have a tickets to Stuart Lee in London. I say, wow, it's my favorite comedian, but I can't go to London because fucking Russians. So and give me this ticket. He give me this ticket, and I ask in Instagram Ukrainian guys who in London who want to go to Stuart Lee, and one girl told I can because I hear from 24th of February I can go to Stuart Lee. That's your tickets. And she said, wow, very wonderful, great. And then one guy wrote me, hi, you take a ticket to my girlfriend for Stuart Lee. I say, yeah, because he said, very great, thank you very much, because I'm in army now, and I have a present for you. Thank you very much that you did some present, and a present for me from him that was a piece of helicopter, a piece of Russian helicopter that
was shot over Hostomel.
They came to Kyiv with descent, with Russian army, and they want to take Kyiv to Kyiv in 3 days. Yeah, sure. And in Hostomel they did emergency stop, because they want to take some Ukrainian rocket to a boat.
Nose diving.
And it's part of helicopter, and I don't know how in English it's some.
Oh man, I don't know what they're called.
It's some
like the stars you wear on.
It's different. Epaulets. It's epaulets, Russian epaulets of one captain, a Russian captain. Yeah, and he gave me this present because he say it's a trophy. Trophy. Yeah, it's a trophy for you because you give a ticket. And I think, it will be nice that I take this trophy and I change this trophy to the next point because I have tickets of Stuart Lee's and this trophy. And I think I read these stories about this woman, about this man, and I think that it will be great story if I will change and have an auto for our army, for automobile,
like
car.
Car.
Automobile.
That's a word too.
Yeah, a car for army. And I start this exchange, and first day I have a lot of propositions for this trophy: Xbox, iPhone, bike, and wash. How it's douche?
Shower.
Shower with music panel. Wow, great. Script of Dogma. Script of Dogma with signs of Kevin Smith and
Really?
Yeah. And then one girl wrote me, and I can exchange this trophy for a car. You see.
So
And you finished it in one day?
In one day.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was old car. It's old car. It's has 69. we do we some remont.
Repair.
Do repair this car, but it's good car because it's military car, and they have a bench лавочка.
Like seats, yeah.
Bench for поранених.
For the
Wounded soldiers, and it's great. And now we paint, and I want to paint a face of Stuart Lee on this car, and to wrote with love of Stuart Lee for Ukrainian army.
Yeah.
I want that Russian soldiers know that there is Stuart Lee's car.
Stuart Lee car coming for you.
Russians should know that everyone in this world is supporting us and helping us, even Stuart Lee,
even if he doesn't realize it.
Even Stuart Lee.
Even if he doesn't know about it, he just supporting and helping us.
Have you heard from him, by the way?
No. But it's a great story. This story. No. He have no social media. But he have one kolonka, journalist.
In the newspaper.
In the newspaper, some a little of one page in the Guardians. And I wrote, I read these materials, and he asked, he say to English government to take Ukrainian people, to give weapons, to give helping for Ukraine. So he's good. But it's not good story for me. It's good story about our people, because they what a trusting of people that they can take their car and to give to the army just because they want. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And I ask, maybe you want some documents, maybe some official documents, what will write that you give no, just I give you a key and take this car, and this car will be on the south. Wow, that's amazing. That's what our people.
No, the war really united us in Ukraine together, and we're like a big family, and it's just communication is so much easier than we're the way we're communicating. We've never done that.
A lot of trusting.
And a lot of trust. Yeah.
It seems like we've never been so united like we are now.
I was just watching the videos this morning of our army freeing the cities that happened yesterday. So many villages and people coming out on streets and greeting the soldiers, and they're so happy to see them. And this is why we have to fight for those people, because they're waiting for us.
Sure.
They're
That's
waiting
amazing.
for us, and then they're Ukraine too,
I don't know, maybe you don't know this news, because these days are very hard and very happy for us, because we have a lot of occupied territory in Kharkiv, and it's our I lived there for 10 years. This is native town
I'm
of
from
Valeria.
Kharkiv.
But now in these days our army is going.
The advances of the Ukrainian army absolutely, picking up on the news, and that suddenly they've been pushing back the Russians.
So we're pushing back. I don't know.
Counterattack.
And it's one, but it's very sad because every counterattack it's bad for our army, because you understand that soldiers are dying now. Because
it makes mixed emotions, because you are sad because you know the price of this.
We know the price.
But you are happy because you are seeing that people that are hugging our army, that are crying, that are happy. That
7 months of war, and they're still waiting. They're still hoping to be freed.
It's very strange situation and mixed emotions.
But
sadness with happiness.
We happy because we have 6-7 months of sad news, and now it's very big happy news, because we I imagine what will happen when we win. That's I don't understand, because now I read news and this one city plus one village. Wow,
Russia's running out of missiles.
But every person know price, and we look at what happened now. People know this price, and they donate harder. They donate, for example, for 5 minutes, or for 5 hours or 6 hours. Our big Igor Lachin, this have a news channel, and he takes some money for the army. 25 million hryvnias for 6 hours.
In 6 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
different people for all of the country take this money. So that's amazing. Yeah, good time now.
Because all people in our country are amazing. Because if you are not an army, a lot of people are still volunteering, still helping. If you are not volunteering and you are not an army, you are donating, you are fundraising. Everyone is doing something. Even children in our country are helping.
Yeah, and I feel grateful that
They're
able
doing
to do
some handmade
what
scenes.
we do here.
Or something like that.
Stand up, like that's. I'm very grateful to Ukrainian army that we can use this to contribute because we're contributing to fundraisers, like fundraising money, and so all the events that I think all of the events that are held in Lviv in stand up, they're all the proceeds. Part of proceeds always goes
some
to,
percent is going to
the army. Yeah, it's interesting days. Never thought that I would be, performing and fundraising money for like a drone or a car.
Yeah. I was that person that no weapons, no military.
Oh, I was such a pacifist too.
No hunting for animals, but
Yeah.
now it must be. It
Not
must be
animals.
Yeah, not animals.
Don't touch animals. Kill only Russians.
No animals, sure.
We have plenty of creatures in our forest that need to be hunted.
Creatures. It's a great word for them.
Right?
Creatures.
Creatures.
Це істоти.
Істоти.
Creatures, creepers, district.
Creepers, yeah. Yep. What else did we need to discuss today? I lost my train of thought. How are you guys feeling? Having a good day? What did you guys have for breakfast? You were having breakfast. You didn't even ask me to come like that.
We have a breakfast. Coffee. You drank
We have breakfast
cappuccino?
together?
I had an Americano.
Oh.
Yeah.
A black Americano.
Black Americano. I have filter coffee.
I had a croissant.
Croissant. Pastéis for me.
The way he says croissant. What's wrong?
I was all prepared to take him. We were just up the road from a place that does fantastic eggs, and because Ukraine is great for that sort of eggs for breakfast type thing. But he said no. In fact, he could barely bring himself to have the. He was really only having that to keep me company because I clearly was hungry and ready to eat and things. And he said, "Oh, I don't really, And so in the end, you had. What did you have?
Pastéis. This Portuguese dessert.
Little custard.
It's very tasty.
What is it called again?
Pastéis.
Pastéis.
Yeah, it's from
I know
Portugal.
nata. That's Portuguese.
That's what it
also
was.
Dessert?
It was
it's the same thing.
pastel de nata. Yes.
Nata?
Yes.
Yeah.
What
It's
is this?
Portuguese dessert. He's saying it's the same thing.
Nata?
It's like round and it has little.
Yeah, cream inside.
Yeah.
With custard. Yes.
Yeah, custard. Yeah.
Pastéis.
Okay. If you say
Pastéis.
I think it's nata, but I wasn't the one
Nata.
eating it.
It's a woman name.
I know.
Synonymous,
That's
no.
why I remembered it.
Just pastéis.
And Jonathan, so how long have you been in Ukraine for? We talked before the.
We were talking. I arrived on Wednesday, Thursday, and came. You can fly to Yashu, come up to the border and just walk through the border. And a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and friend of mine, who is actually from Lviv, picked me up at the border, and we drove back to Lviv. To this extraordinary city, and as we were saying earlier, I've travelled elsewhere in Ukraine, but I've never seen this extraordinary European, remnant of a different age, really, with all that grace and gorgeousness that it has. And I'm here until tonight, when I'll take a night train up to Kyiv and meet those actors and talk about some of the work we're going to be doing and a few other projects. We've been asked to look at bringing over work by Shevchenko, artwork to the UK and mounting an exhibition there, and that would be great. And we've just started talking because you're off to Dublin, about coming over to the UK, and visas to the UK are a nightmare, to be honest. But can we get a group of Ukrainian stand-ups over to London, do a Ukrainian stand-up night would be great.
And it was hard for you to get a visa.
Well, I have Canadian documents. So
Oh, right.
No,
All right.
so yes.
Require a visa for
All right.
London.
Yes.
Dublin doesn't need.
Yeah,
so they
sure,
put, like
I
a
know.
90-day visa, so that's nice. Yeah, so I didn't have time to do that. So it was visas, so I just used my Canadian
Great.
documents. Yeah. I didn't really meet a lot of Ukrainians while I was there. I met up with some of my friends who live there, but they're not stand-up comedians, of course. But was the stand-up comedian community from the top secret comedy club. There were no Ukrainians at all.
Really?
But
So you didn't
that's
meet
why
I know
Ukrainians
that
also?
there are some Ukrainian, like diaspora stand-up comedy troops in London. I didn't really have time to get in touch with them. Like I was there only for 6 days and performing non-stop.
And when you were in Dublin, did you meet a lot of Ukrainians there?
No, actually, like there were some Ukrainians in the audience and they like just stopped by to say hi and that was pretty much it. But I made some great friends, some Irish people. Even while I was in London, I got along the best with Irish people for some reason. And then when I went to Dublin, I already knew some people there, and it was nice to have friends there. And I love Dublin. I don't know, I found London to be very overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I've lived in big cities. Like I lived in Toronto for a long time, and I was living downtown. I lived in Kyiv for half a year, and I loved it. My dream is to move to Kyiv again, but I'm just waiting for a period when it would feel more safe for me to do that. But I love my life in Lviv right now, so I feel at home here. But in London, like it's a big city, but it was like very overwhelming for me. I feel like it felt kind of like packed with people. Like it felt like a small, because the streets are not very wide, and they're packed with people. Also, like I didn't see all of the London. I just saw like my path, like from the hotel to the top secret comedy club and back. And it's a very touristy area. There's a lot of theaters and a lot of people out on the streets. So maybe not the best area to explore London by.
Well, London is, it's a great capital, it's a great city. It's very, very large.
Yeah.
I mean, it spans a great distance, and that's partly because, unlike some of the other capital cities, it's basically a lot of single-story houses. A lot of people still live in houses with gardens. It's not all skyscrapers. It's not condensed into Manhattan the way Manhattan is in that sense, or the way Paris is. It's also not. We talk about Lviv as a beautiful city, and Paris is a beautiful city, and there's a sort of, enormous elegance to Manhattan. And London's not like that. It's a messy city. It's full of uglinesses and strangenesses. It's also full of beauties as well. It's a real mixture of things. And you turn down a street, and that is the thing about it. In the end, it's this extraordinary mixture. It's the fact that you can't go down a street without 4 different types of restaurants from around the world. It's what it offers in that sense that makes it so exciting.
Toronto, like I'm comfortable with being in a multicultural setting, like more than any other. But I didn't expect London to be that multicultural. Like I didn't really see it coming from the Doctor Who episodes I was watching. I guess that's the only information I had about London. Did not find the Torchwood station under Thames River.
It's a genuinely multicultural city, and my eldest daughter gets me to come out with her for dinners in sort of some of its sort of remoter areas. We go out to Tottenham and Leytonstone and other places where she will have found the most extraordinary restaurants. Cheap and cheerful and full of fabulous food, and you can still do that in London.
That's a fun activity to explore the town.
And then, of course, things like the comedy scene. The comedy scene is very, very strong. The theatre scene is very strong in that way, I think.
Yeah, and also like kind of stressful to perform there because, I was performing in Top Secret Comedy Club, which is very like famous venue, and also, but I performed in one more venue in London, and it was called Big Dong Gong Show. So, do you know what gong shows are? That's an interesting format. I've never experienced that before. So, like you perform, and then audience gets sort of like voting rates.
They get a chance to throw you out fundamentally, don't they?
It's really
off the stage,
Yes. They kicked me off of stage on 3rd minute. They didn't like my joke. Like it was sort of like a pedophile joke. Like I was like hinting that I used to sleep with my students, and they did not like.
And you have no time. Yeah, and you have no time after this to tell him that it's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for this audience, you must
Call the police.
Yeah.
She's sleeping with his students.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I had to run away before the police got there.
This looked like for Louis C.K. tell his jokes, and in a half of joke they go away from stage, and it's a bad person.
Yeah,
he's a very
pretty
bad
much.
person in this case. So you may be too bad person for them.
I don't know, maybe, but they're bad people because I'm Ukrainian and they got me off the stage.
Oh yeah. 3 minutes for this
So
audience.
I told them that
3 minutes for this
and
audience.
it was really funny because there was like a train passing by, and I had some time to have conversation with the judges, and then I was like, I'm sorry, I haven't performed outside of a bomb shelter in a while. And then the train was passing by and I ducked to like make a joke of it, and I kind of ended on like a humorous note. So
all right.
It wasn't an all bad experience, but yeah, it was very interesting to get the reaction to that joke abroad. Like when I say I haven't performed outside of a bomb shelter in a while, which is true. Like in Lviv, like we only do events in bomb shelters because
not only in
Sure,
all
sure.
the events now.
But like anything can be a bomb shelter. That's like sort of like a basement event venue. But they would laugh, and I don't know how I feel about that, and I feel kind of uncomfortable with telling that joke because I'm sort of fooling the audience. Like they don't know that it's reality for me, and that's why they laugh.
Yeah, they don't.
They think I'm over-exaggerating.
It's just a joke. They think.
Yeah,
maybe
they think I'm
it's just a joke.
over-exaggerating, making it more than what it is, but that's what it is.
About shelters, it's interesting that in every place for till our tour we have performing just only in shelters. Maybe if there is not a shelter, we performing, but it must be shelter in this building. So if the air alarm, we stop the performing and go into the shelter. But in Mykhailova, when I ask when a lot of explosions during the day, I ask some guy who helped me to find some place where I can do performing, and he say, yeah, in the center. I say, is it a shelter? He said, no, of course no. I say, but
Of course.
why? And he say, no. This building is near the Red Cross. Red Krasny, Червоный Крест.
Yeah.
So Russian soldiers will not.
They love that.
Yes, they love this, but they not destroy them. I say no. That's your Mykolaiv rules. I don't know these rules.
Logic.
Please, I must do it in shelter, just only in shelter. Yeah, and we find some.
It also assumes, doesn't it, that the Russians are more accurate with their bombing than they may necessarily be. They may not mean to hit particular targets,
Yeah, but
but you know, bombs flying all over the place.
Yeah, and then it's old technology that they're using. That fall apart on its way.
Yeah, and it's building city. It's very a lot of buildings, building. So, but Russian rockets, it's not this very точный, not.
It's not precise.
Not precise. Yeah, it's 1 kilometer left, 1 kilometer right. So.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna be wrapping up because the manager was giving me the hacks.
Because this manager say you must do good podcast, but then stop! I must go to Frankivsk.
It's probably just worth making this point that I spoke to one of my former students, master students, Valeria, who's Russian, said, "You're right." You know, I just got in touch with her and said, "As it all started off." She said, "I'm living in Paris now, and it's fine." But people like my parents out in Central Russia, they're all picking up everything on, using VPNs. So, it's not all simply Russian news they get. They all pick up what the news is on VPNs. They all know what's going on. They may not be able to say anything, but they know.
Yeah, no, they definitely, there's no way not to know at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully this war will be over soon and we're going to have a huge party and countrywide orgy. You're invited.
I look forward to it.
So, it was lovely meeting you, Jonathan,
It was great to
and
meet.
seeing Vasyl again. And
me too.
And
no?
you too.
Valeria.
You're co-host.
You're seeing me too.
Next to you. I always
too
love
often.
your company.
You're seeing me too often. She's
Yeah,
like
so-
My right hand, pretty much.
happy to see me again.
I'm always happy to see you. Did you see how the way I hugged you? I meant it, girl.
Oh yeah.
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 The thing about Valeria, with all this hair, and I don't know what the
know.
camera can see, and of course you do this every week, but what the camera can see of her is, I keep looking at her stomach and thinking, I bet it's a lie about this baby altogether. You know,
yeah.
you
There
know,
was a
nobody
baby
can be
there.
that flat-stomached after a baby.
I'm a witch.
Maybe that's the secret to a flattened stomach.
Yeah. Just I'm a witch.
Good finish in a stomach.
And yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Let's go get
Thank
some
you.
food.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Hey guys, it's me and Valeria again, and we just wanted to thank you for watching this video. We had a great conversation with our pals today, and so remember, give this video a like and write in the comments who else would you like to see as a guest in PeaceTalk podcast.
And hope you've enjoyed the watching.
Okay, bye-bye.